Welcome, everyone, to Champion Your Life with me, Leighanne Champion. This is where we get to reflect, refine, and reboot your one precious life. In this space, we take a deeper look at what's holding you back. Maybe you want to show up differently for the people in your life. Maybe you're struggling with your emotional well-being. Maybe you feel as though something's missing and you want to get excited about your future. There's some good news. You can shift your perspective and begin to walk through the world in new, refreshing ways. I am a certified life and well-being coach who was called to create this show as a means to facilitate a journey of personal development. You have the power to change. Your life is precious. Don't waste another minute feeling unfulfilled. Champion Your Life starts now. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Champion Your Life with me, Leighanne Champion. I'm delighted you're here today, and I have a very special guest on our podcast. I cannot wait to introduce her. You're going to love her. We have Terry Maalen with us on this podcast. She's been working with me on Champion Your Life. Terry has been my go-to friend forever. She's tremendously talented, thoughtful, creative human. She's a mama. She's an author of children's books. She's worked for years as an entertainer, cruise director, world cruise hostess, you name it. I met Terry years ago when we were singing together on a cruise ship. And ooh,
don't go there, Leighanne.
There are some stories we could tell.
No, don't go there.
We aren't, really. But I brought Terry into this very important conversation today as, well, we've just been so closely connected during the pandemic, working together, constantly discussing what we've been experiencing, what we've been learning, what is happening in the world. I mean, this is actually truly our nerdy go-to conversation.
Yeah, you're right, it is.
And now, look, for some of you out there, the last 18 months during this pandemic, it's many people will say, oh, it's been tolerable. Some would even say, it's been okay. They've appreciated, being able to work from home, more time with family, etc. But for most people, many people, it's been a very long haul. Yeah. So much stress, so much uncertainty, missing loved ones, losing loved ones, very, very difficult. And I believe that most humans are somewhere on that continuum. But for most of us, I think we're just hoping for things to just get back to normal.
Yeah, whatever that is,
Correct. Yeah, I think they've been talking about the new normal since the very beginning, and we still don't know what that really looks like. And everyone's story is so unique. And the question we're looking at today is how can we be better for this experience? And how can we take what we've learned and carry it into the future? And if we don't look at our lives and process what is going on for us, we're going to forget. And we're going to go right back to our old normal, our old ways, right, of showing up in the world.
Yeah, and interesting enough, that's where your tagline comes in, which is reflect, refine, and reboot. I'm currently learning that in real time.
Like, I know for so many of you out there, it's hard to ask these questions right now because, if you just watch the news, you probably feel like you're still very much in it.
Oh yeah, I think that, Leighanne. I think that's so true. I feel people are knee deep still in the consequences of what's happening in the world right now. It's still happening. It just doesn't feel over yet. It really doesn't. The world, even without COVID, the world feels kind of chaotic right now for me.
Yes, I agree. And Of course, we want to be sensitive to all of this because everyone's situation is so unique to them. And I have no idea what you're going through personally or how you and your family have been affected. But what I do know for sure is our human tendency will be to rush back to our old normal. It's familiar, right? We will go back to those behaviors and miss the lessons that we're currently learning in this pandemic season. So I wanted to share something that I found, and Terry doesn't even know what I'm going to share yet.
Uh-oh. That's not good.
I'm sorry, had to do that to you. But I found a quote by C.S. Lewis.
I love C.S. Lewis.
I know, amazing. In The Problem of Pain. And he explores this idea of processing and acknowledging pain. It's really remarkable and weirdly timely what he wrote. So I'll just read it to you. And he said in his quote, "My own experience is something like this. I am progressing along the path of life in my ordinary, contentedly fallen and godless condition, absorbed in a merry meeting with my friends for the morrow, or a bit of work that tickles my vanity, when suddenly a stab of abdominal pain that threatens serious disease, or perhaps a headline in the newspaper that threatens us all with destruction and sends this whole pack of cards tumbling down. At first, I'm overwhelmed, and all my little happinesses look like broken toys. But then slowly and reluctantly, bit by bit, I try to bring myself into the frame of mind that I should be in at all times. And perhaps by God's grace, I succeed. And for a day or two, I become a creature consciously dependent on God and drawing its strength from the right sources. But the moment the threat is withdrawn, my whole nature leaps back to the toys."
Wow. Actually, though, that's amazing. I mean, oh my goodness.
Wow,
a
right?
day or two, he says, and a day or two. Isn't that typical experience for all of us?
I know.
I mean, we have a million scenarios that play out like this in our lives. Once the threat is gone, we begin to retreat right back into the old norms.
I know. Why are we so stubborn, right? That we have to be led to the brink of disaster before we're like willing to make the changes that we've known in our hearts that we've needed to make all along.
Yeah,
right?
That's really. When did he write this?
1940.
Okay. Well, everything old is new again, right?
It's amazing. But this is what we're going to talk about. Truly, it is human nature to return to our bad habits once the pain that is associated with those bad habits, right, is gone.
Yeah. And here's the thing too. Do we really want to go back to the old normal? Are we actually aspiring to be normal? I don't know. I'm not sure we want to go back there. What do you think?
No, that's so good. We have to ask ourselves, is it smart? Is that wise? Was my normal before the pandemic healthy, right?
Yeah.
So then the question really becomes, how can we be better, stronger, wiser for it?
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard that saying, don't let a good thing go to waste. I think in this situation, it's really, we don't want to let a bad thing go to waste.
That's true.
I know. I just believe that no matter what your situation is, it's not too soon to begin this discussion. It's not too soon to begin taking inventory of our lives throughout this COVID experience.
Yeah. Kind of like while the pressure is on. I mean, like you said, unfortunately, when the pressure is on, we do learn the most. We kind of gain the most perspective at that time.
What a shame it would be to lose those lessons, right? To lose this new perspective that we're gaining. Now, everyone who's listening, this is the reason why I have asked Terry to come on today. She, like I'm sure many of you out there, have been through a lot during COVID, and I really wanted her to share some of the wisdom that she's learned this past year. It's a powerful story. I did have to twist her arm a little bit, all right, a lot of it to do this. But I'm so grateful that you are willing to share your story, Terry, with our listeners.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I do appreciate you asking me here. And my story is no different from so many people right now. And many have had it so much worse. But I also want to state too, Leighanne, that this is not a poor, pitiful me thing at all. This is just basically, I mean, sharing what I've learned from it. And because I've gone somewhat inward these past couple of years, quite frankly, admittingly, this is really out of my comfort zone. But I believe so much in what you're doing. I truly do, and I'm honored that you asked me here. Plus, you have a saying, what is it? You often say, discomfort is the currency of your dreams. And I love that saying. So yeah, a little discomfort here, but it's good because it means I'm getting out there and I'm hopefully helping others by you so kindly asking me to do this.
Absolutely, you will be. So
in a nutshell, my husband, my wonderful husband, passed away in 2019. The love of my life and my daughter's love as well. And as many of us know, the loss of a loved one, that alone can just, bring you to your knees. And it did. It did. Grief is terribly difficult. And the other thing I learned is grief is hard work. Grief is hard work. And in the midst of this hard work, COVID began, and eventually it knocked on my door. So I think briefly the best way to do this is to take you back a little bit in time. I was beginning my recovery, finally home, albeit still in bed, and I was on Facebook one day. And I read a quote that said, it literally said, quote, "People just need to lighten up about all this COVID stuff," end quote. I got to tell you, that got to me. Like a sucker punch, it got to me. So I wrote the following, and which is wildly uncharacteristic for me to do that.
I will vouch for this.
Yeah, and this was a random person. I didn't know this person at all. It was just a random thread on Facebook. But if it's okay, I'd like to read to you what I wrote, and it will kind of give you a glimpse of, what went on.
Beautiful.
So let me see. It's hard. Sorry. It's hard to lighten up when you find yourself 10 days straight with fever and told not to go to the hospital. And then it gets so bad, they finally do take you to the hospital, but you're in isolation. You can't breathe. You can't walk. You can't talk. You can't see anyone. They keep telling you to lay on your stomach to get some air in your lungs, but doing that is so difficult while hooked up to an oxygen machine. Then they tell you it's hit your kidneys and lungs and put you on something called hydrochloroquine or whatever that is, because, well, it's all they have at the time. It's all they have at the moment. They give you the COVID cocktail, antibiotics, oxygen, potassium drips, all kinds of inhalers thrown at you, and immediately back on oxygen. You work very hard every day to get more breaths in. They tell you to try harder and to breathe deeper. It
feels like this breathing that you're talking about has become almost a symbol of these times, right? That much needed breath of life.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's true. So I went on to write, this is what I said. This disease is horrible. When they let me go, I went home with oxygen, and then it's called long haul, which we all know now as the long haulers. Work on breathing, getting your stamina back while you're 3 months later, your hair starts falling out. You have short breath and joint pain and dizziness and blood disease. There's all kinds of stuff that goes on. Look, I'm grateful I survived, especially for my daughter. So many had the same symptoms I had and did not survive. Quite frankly, it is only because of the toss of the dice that I got it and you didn't, or you had a mild case of it. Until they figure this out, the dice is still rolling. So please have compassion, have empathy, have kindness. And no matter how you feel about vaccines or politics, these are the most important traits I believe right now. So that's what I wrote. Pretty much explains, you know, the timeline of it, what I went through.
Terry over here. That's one powerful post. And then I think of what you went through when you got home and you were dealing with just this crazy influx of bills and health, bills and getting the oxygen in. And
yeah, I mean, it's almost a double whammy. I mean, the expense, well, don't get me started on healthcare. But it was crazy. It was nuts. But I also want to say too that there was humor. It wasn't all crazy. There's like I remember our nightly bed routines. There were moments in the hospital when you and Tom would FaceTime me. You were both in bed and I was in bed, and it was like a nightly bed get together. Sometimes I couldn't even talk to you. I was just staring at you, but you really cheered me up. You made me laugh.
Oh, Terry is really softening the reality of those phone calls, as she would. But no, seriously, she would call us and she was hooked up to just like a million machines. It was quite intense, but we were just so grateful for any contact with you, any opportunity in which we could, encourage you and tell you to hang on. Oh, so Terry, you've done a great job. I'm so proud of you. What are some of your takeaways from this experience? What would you tell people listening today?
Well, first off, I think we're all here. We're supposed to be, I don't want to say learning lessons, but we're all, and we probably are, but we're all here to experience things. That's the way I look at it, because that's the truth. We are here and we are experiencing all kinds of things. And maybe we do have lessons to learn in those experiences, but at the, I think that's what it is. We're supposed to be here learning some things.
I remember at the beginning of all this, I remember saying to you, do you think God has sent everyone to their room to figure their stuff out?
Yeah, I do remember that. Probably true. Yeah. Listen, I believe that we are souls in human form to experience specific lessons that bring us all together. I think that's the main idea. I believe that at this moment in time, we have a really good chance of changing things up for the better, not the worse, for the better. My daughter is living with me now, and she feels the same. And that gives me such hope that a 20-something is paying attention. She's paying attention what's going on in the world, and she wants that as well.
Yes, I'm so glad all the young people are rising up with ideas and solutions. We need all of their fresh energy. I agree with you. What else, my friend?
Well, I think, it sounds so simplistic, but kindness matters. Kindness matters. How we treat others, of course, but also how we treat ourselves. And self-loathing and judgment is so automatic these days. We have to learn to be kind to ourselves and then do the same to others. And it's hard to do. And I know it sounds so trite, doesn't it? Just be kind. But I believe that if we're all practicing that, this world really needs it. It'll lift it up tremendously. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It's hard being human. And I say that because people don't actually acknowledge that fact. They don't think that way. In this human form, it's easy to judge, to react quickly without thinking first, to just give up and give in, you know. I remember thinking in the hospital, just give up. I know that sounds just, but I was missing my husband so desperately, so much. But then I surrendered everything to God. I changed up my thoughts. I told God, I know this isn't my choice, it's your choice, but I also know that I didn't want to go on. I didn't want to miss being with my beautiful daughter the rest of her life. That there was more for us to experience. So by changing my thoughts, it gave me peace, whichever way it went. And our thoughts, as you teach so beautifully, they can be changed, you know?
Oh, true. Our thoughts matter so much.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, good on you for being able to do that in that moment.
Yeah. And, you know, I think my last takeaway from all this is also, again, the tagline, your tagline: reflect, refine, and reboot. You know, we go into these periods of regressing and then renewal. And we do this many times in our life. And when I left the hospital, I remember I was trying to heal at home. And I suddenly had such a wonderful sense of peace. Honestly, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I got a little glimpse of what it was like to be in heaven. And I felt so much peace and contentment and security, and even joy in the midst of dealing with COVID symptoms. Now, did it last? No. But it's not supposed to. We're supposed to keep experiencing, I think. I think that's what being human is. And yeah, was it a tease? Yeah, it was definitely a tease. And it did tick me off when, all the problems returned.
Oh my gosh, that's what happens. It's a 50-50, baby.
Yeah, the 50-50 of life. You're so right.
How'd you handle that?
Well, I think I did what you teach so beautifully. You first acknowledge it. Acknowledging things is important, and we don't do that either. And also, as you say, go gentle on yourself. Go gentle on yourself.
That's good. Yeah.
It's going to happen over and over, like C.S. Lewis, like what you said. He found that out, didn't he? Yeah. And then the statement you said about don't let a bad thing go to waste. That's so true. Reflect on it and learn from it. I think those are, I don't know. I'm going on and on and on. What's your takeaway? What do you think about all of this?
Oh, well, first, I just need to say, Terry, I'm so humbled and grateful that you're even still here. I mean,
Thank you.
COVID really has felt something like a level 5 tornado. I was thinking about it. It's wreaked havoc and it's caused a lot of destruction. I think it's been physical, it's been mental, it's been financial, and I've seen a lot of spiritual destruction. It's torn up families and relationships and careers to the point where I think we're all kind of standing in some form of rubble. But what have I learned? You know what? I really welcome how tender my heart is as we discuss all of this.
Yeah.
I'm very comfortable with that now. I actually really prefer that authentic way of being and expressing myself and my emotions now. But I actually believe that many of us are in this long wintering season, even though it's summer.
What do you mean by wintering?
Well, wintering is the way I like to describe the times in life when we feel sort of, out in the cold, right? Where we're just struggling to get a solid, normal foothold back in everyday life.
I like that. That's good.
But when we are wintering, there just can be so many causes. It can be a result from a mental or physical illness, a loss of a loved one, like you endured, loss of a job. Even a new mama could find herself enduring a wintering season, adjusting to all that is new in her world, right?
Yeah, or it could be caused by 18 months of a global pandemic.
Well, that's just the obvious part. Yeah. No, but the truth is the pandemic is just part of the story for people.
True.
But whatever the cause, it can be a lonely and painful time. And I tell my clients, if we could just learn to accept and even welcome our winners, they can be powerful times of growth, especially when our intention is to be wiser and better for it. I think if you think of it this way, wintering is when we gain wisdom. And every time we winter, we grow in resilience and compassion, and we deepen our capacity for joy.
I love that.
Yeah. So during this wintering season, I guess I just want to continue to love deeply. I want to keep learning and to keep growing, helping clients. That's at my top of my list for sure. Let's see what else. I want to continue to practice gratitude, strengthen my faith, let go of judgment, right? Widen my gaze, widen my heart. Just be present for those I love. Terry, thank you for coming on to champion your life and telling your powerful stories. All of our stories are not over. It doesn't matter your age or the role you might find yourself standing in the moment. Your story has so many beautiful chapters in it that have yet to be written. I believe this about my life and about my friend Terry's life and about yours as well. You have been listening to Champion Your Life. My gosh, this went fast. But I think we had some gems in today's podcast. I hope they speak to your soul. As always, reach out, championyourlife.com. Sign up for that free consult. You have one precious life, and I want you to live it to its fullest. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Terry. Godspeed.
Thank you for listening to Champion Your Life with me, Leighanne Champion, on transformationtalkradio.com. To find out more about me and my coaching platform, visit championyourlife.com. That's championyourlife.com. You have one precious life. Let's live it to your fullest potential. Let's go. Let's do this together. See you next time.